Well, welcome everyone. Today we have Austin Slade Perry. He's the author of This Dance in Second Chance, our romance anthology. As a child, Austin was always told he had an overactive imagination. When he grew up, that imagination transformed into storytelling and his passion for writing. He also finds joy in other creative outlets such as drawing, designing, cooking, and supporting his friends with their artistic passions. Well, so why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, Austin, and what you like to write?
All right. So hi everyone. I am Austin Slade Perry. Um, Things about me. Well, I'm a very creative person. I enjoy any form of creativity. Um, I do a lot also with nonprofit organizations here in Salt Lake City where I live. Um, a lot with the LGBTQ community. In fact, that's where a lot of my writing is focused. I do a lot of queer romance based stories. Even in other genres, I like to combine that romantic element and the queer element as well.
That's one of my favorite things about your writing because, like, you can make any kind of story into a romance. And I mean, romance just makes every story better. So, I mean, in
Well,
my humble opinion.
Well, I think when it comes to it, like people can think of writing romance into a story as being a bit daunting or it becomes too much or overwhelming to the story. And honestly, it doesn't need to be like romance. If your story is not primarily romance, but you have like a side romantic plot, you don't have to put too much into that. It's just a sort of development thing. Like
Yeah.
if we take for example Harry Potter, like the romance in Harry Potter was not like a big part of the story, but it was enough there that it felt natural and stuff, like the relationship between Ron and Hermione, like that sort of thing. It worked in that sense where it wasn't the whole focus on that romance. So romance can be very subtle or it can be very prominent. It just depends on your level.
No, I completely agree with that. And honestly, like with Harry Potter, I think that is one of the reasons why I prefer the older, when they were older kids, because I liked that romance. Like I liked that they had to deal with things that, I mean, I was dealing with at that time when I was reading, but also just like it makes them more human.
Yeah,
Romance really does that to stories. It just makes them more human.
exactly. Romance adds a kind of personal element to the story and to the characters. It's another motivation of like, well, I have to do this because it can hurt this person who I care about, kind of thing.
Exactly. So, what inspired you to write your story in the Second Chance anthology?
So it was kind of a weird moment that kind of inspired it, honestly. I was at work and I was trying to think of, story ideas for this anthology. It was like, what can I do? Because second chance stories aren't really something that I do a lot of time. So I was like, okay, what can I do? And I started focusing a little bit more on like the character themselves. That's usually where I like to start, is with who is this character? Who am I writing about? And I remember a song came on at work. It was a this really pretty song. And I'm just starting kind of swaying. It was a very slow day, so I was able to listen to it. And um I pulled out my phone and I like looked up what the song was and listened to it, and a video popped up of the song, but it was mixed with clips from like Black Swan and like all these ballet dancing. And I was like, okay, I kind of like this world here. And this is kind of a way into my creative process where it's like I find something that kind of sparks some like inspiration there, whether it's a song, some visuals. Like visuals definitely help spark the imagination for me. So I started like kind of just looking at pictures of like ballerinas and watching ballet dancing clips, just kind of get this vibe. Um, so that definitely helped inspire like the base of the story. I think what helped inspire like the character though were some of my own personal feelings. The I think a lot of us can relate to it where, you know, you join you it's hard to explain exactly, but it's like you feel like you're behind. You
Mm.
don't feel like you're adequate enough uh, in the eyes of the world. So it's something that a lot of us can relate to. I relate to it quite frequently, honestly. Like I look around sometimes at my group of writer friends, and I'm like, well, they all have books out and that, and don't. I
But
feel like I'm
you have a
behind.
story. I don't know. You shouldn't put yourself down. Like you do have stories out, and this is one of the stories.
Right. So like I do have stuff that's out, but it's one of those things where it's like, okay, there are people who are like farther along in their career than me. And so moments like that you look at and kind of puts you down. And that's what I wanted to like translate into the main character here was because I feel like that's a feeling that a lot of us can experience at times. And it can be a real challenge to get over. Um, like I remind myself all times, like we're all going at our own pace and everything. Um, and like I know I have talent and stuff, so I try not to put myself down. But I wanted to put that energy into this character and also show like how it can impact your relationship with people as well. Like in his relationship with the other main character, you know, it starts out where he very paranoid about him.
Yeah. No, and you did it so beautifully too, because like he didn't, it wasn't like an automatic trust. And I think like, and then when they eventually did, well, I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, but essentially like, I think that your balance and how you develop different characters within the story as well. I think it worked out. It, you know, you, it, what you were trying to translate on the page, like it really came out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so I think that's great. Do you have like, and I know you kind of mentioned like a little bit before where, but like where, like what do you have out that people can read, or like what are you planning to have out in the future?
So I have a few things that I'm working on right now. There's two big novels that I'm trying to work on. I kind of go back and forth on the two, and they are romance. One is more like real world, modern day, and then the other one is a little bit more fantasy based. I kind of been going back and forth on those, working on a bit here and a bit here, because for me it's hard to focus on one project. Like I have to find something to work on if the other one starts getting overwhelming.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Like I have like three projects and I'm like, oh, okay, well, today I'm gonna do this. Like, no, but that's good. And so hopefully you can get those out. And like, well, like pretty soon. But
Oh
you
yeah.
know, just for all the readers out here, Austin does have several stories out. He has a story, it's Crimson Snow in Collective Darkness. He also has another story in Little Darkness. It's the companion copy. And then I mean, obviously you have this one for Second Chance. And then in the future, when we have it's a LGBTQ plus anthology. That one is Collective Humanity. And that's separate from the romance writers chapter. It's a different, it's with the Collective Tales Publishing. But that one is, I mean, like that one is still like all being like, hashed out and stuff, but
And that
you're planning
one's
on
very
that.
exciting.
Okay,
With
cool.
that one, I do have a short story in the works on that one, and it is a more fantasy based, which is a little bit new territory for me as far as the short story goes, because I find that fantasy, I have a hard time condensing that down to a short story. There's so much
It is
world
hard.
building you want to do. But that one, I take a lot of pride in that project because, like I said earlier in the interview, where I do stuff with nonprofit organizations, I do work with a local nonprofit called the Royal Court of the Golden Spike Empire. It's one of the oldest LGBTQ nonprofits here in Salt Lake City. And with this anthology, correct me if I'm wrong, but a portion of
Oh yeah,
the proceeds is going to be donated to the Royal Court to help fund our charitable work.
yeah. It's all net proceeds will
Okay,
go to the Golden Spike Empire. So
perfect.
yeah, I think it's just so important. Like I mean, with Collective Tales Publishing having like that nonprofit book, but also like in our romance writers chapter, like this is also a nonprofit. So like this all the money that goes into this goes directly to, you know, our events, our like anthologies, like pushing writers to like get further along. So I don't know. I really like and nonprofits. It's really nice. I mean, there's nothing wrong with for profit either. Like I feel like people always get down. It's like a whole political discussion, I guess. But like I think there's
I
something
think with the writing chapter nonprofit thing, it's a really great way of having a community for
Mhm.
writers to be able to get together, bounce ideas off of each other, and it also helps us to move and progress forward as writers because we learn from each other.
Exactly. No, I think that's so it's so valuable. Well, Austin, is there anything else that you want to add before we conclude the interview?
Um, just make sure you keep an eye out for the Second Chance anthology coming out on February 14th, right?
Yep. And this video will actually be airing on February 14th.
Oh, sweet.
Lucky viewers.
Then scratch that last part.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
But yeah,
Well,
make sure you go check it out.
yes, thank you. Okay.
Of course.